You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where the strange is just another day at the office and the unexplained is our playground.
KUAP Digital Broadcasting, Troubled Minds Radio. Do you ever feel like you're being watched? Don't trust the government, wonder if aliens are real, what's possible and what's not. Will they actually take over the Earth? Do ghosts exist? What about Sasquatch? Curiosity peaked? We've got more. We don't go deep, we go wide, because we're already at skull-crushing depths. Who is the most powerful oligarchy running the world from the shadows? What about these UFO reports? Are they falsified? Are they going to keep giving us nothing but burgers over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? We got more. Why is there so much contradictory information about peculiar topics? Is the Illuminati a real thing? What does the New World Order even mean? Come and join the conversation. Let's try and dig. Let's try and find out. Because if we don't do it, it might not get done.
You're tuned into Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we peer into the future, embrace the power of AI, and delve deep into the conspiracies that shape our world.
Some people believe that crystals have spiritual properties and can be used to connect with the ancient civilization of Atlantis. They believe the crystals were once used by the Atlanteans for spiritual healing, meditation, and communication. Some people believe that the crystals can still be used for these purposes today. The Atlantis crystal power myth is the belief that crystals from Atlantis have special powers. This myth is often associated with the idea that Atlantis was a highly advanced civilization that was destroyed by a natural disaster. Some people believe that the crystals from Atlantis survived the disaster and can be used to tap into the power of Atlantis. Have you ever tried? Check out Spirit Magica Crystal Shop and use coupon code Troubled Minds, all one word, for 25% off your first purchase.
Nearly gone, get your skates on, serious business, don't be accused of being so lazy and need schooling and disciplined by a cannabis bomb. We needed an intrepid hero that was very strong, St. James Salcedo, to represent Troubled Minds Radio, so please donate to the mate, PayPal and Vimeo, Salcedo, paranormal.podbean.com. The very spooky nature of Salcedo Paranormal is great for a podcast flavour. This work takes typical marketing grifting, have to love the labour. We pray for the day when people look like in Asia. This weird encounter's small or crazier and crazier, gripping, shocking, figure you hear in Asia. Side-splitting laughter from ghost rift drifting. This time slips, time shifting. In Casper boosting mics without a trace, I call it cloud lifting. I'm intent to present a sentiment. If you like the content, donate. If you haven't sent, do us all a favour, donate to James. This message is made by the famed great raider, Clea Martin. Crazy Killer Clowns, did you know, was my major. So donate today. You'll probably see me in town, holding the death waiver. I'm not saying it's aliens, but the clues in the name. I'm one half Liam Neeson with the arm me to take it. Salcedo.paranormal.podbean.com.
Who's calling? There is no identification.
What's the message?
Message as follows. It is dangerous to remain here. You must leave within 2 days.
What?
Do you want me to?
Welcome. Well, I can't speak. Hello and welcome to the show, Exile Minds Podcast. Me, your host, Liam Martin. Got my teeth in today. It's not a sign of things to come. But anyway, yeah, let's start again. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your incredibly famous host, Liam Martin. Welcome to the Exile Minds Podcast. And today, in today's show, we're going to be looking at the mystique of the lucky number 7. So today, in this captivating episode of the Exile Minds podcast, we will unravel the enchanting world of the number 7 and its enduring status as a symbol of luck. So join us on a journey through history, culture, mathematics, as we explore why the number 7 has been held with a special place in human imagination, from its religious and mystical significance to its role in folklore, ancient wonders, and even gambling. We delve into the diverse reasons behind lucky number 7, so tune in for an insightful exploration of this magical digit and discover the fascinating tales and traditions that have made it a cherished symbol of good fortune worldwide. Doesn't that sound lovely, eh? So why don't we do just that? And yeah, let's get on with this one then. So this one come about because number 7, numbers and lucky numbers and favorite colors and stuff. Favorite colors I never really got. I never really understood the favorite color because it's a bit like different colors, different. I don't know. It's like which part of the waveform do you like, kind of thing? Because it's colours, but with a lucky number, I don't know, there's something a bit more to that. You can kind of like, there's, I don't know, perhaps because of maths behind it, you can kind of mathematise it a little bit, I suppose. But so what's the mystique of a lucky number? How do you pick one? How does one come about? I'm wondering about that, and then it got me thinking about how number 7 comes up a lot. It's supposed to be lucky, right? Even the same adage, lucky number 7. So what is it about? So let's have a look at this. Number 7 is considered lucky in many cultures and religions around the world. It isn't just a singular explanation for why this is the case, but there are several theories of the reasons that have contributed to number 7 being perceived of as lucky. So to start with, the religious significance of the number 7. In many religions, this is from what I've been researching, and we'll see. I've got some video clips on what I'm going to show for this. I don't do that very often, but I've got some video clips, and we'll be covered by fair usage because we're going to comment on it and such. So yeah, we're going to do that today. We'll have a look through some of we'll break the number 7 down, where it's sitting in place. We'll have a look at a few clips, and then I'm going to let you know my thoughts on it as we go, and then see what it might mean at the end. Okay, so. The religious signal. Oh, by the way, hi to the chat. Thanks very much for sticking with us, Rico. Because yesterday I was supposed to stream live on Rumble and on YouTube at the same time, and I'm trying this new platform so I can stream to lots of places. But kind of screwed it up, and it just only went to Rumble, and I didn't realise. So I did the whole show thinking it was still on YouTube like normal, and it wasn't. I didn't realise till after. So I uploaded the episode again, but. Yeah, sorry about that. It was probably sat there thinking, what the hell? But But we'll get it today. It'll be a lucky one today because we've got number 7, so it won't screw up, hopefully. So anyway, yes, number 7 then. Let's look at the religious significance and break this down. So, in many religions, the number 7 is considered sacred and special. For example, in Christianity, there are 7 days of creation. Okay? In Islam, there are 7 heavens. And in Hinduism, there are 7 chakras. And in Judaism, the 7th day of Sabbath. It's the day of rest as well. So we've got these 7s embedded in, well known in the religion. We are the wolf pack. Ooh, yes, Ben. Ben Hauser. Shouts out. We are the wolf pack. In fact, I've got special sound effects for it and everything. Oh, if they work. Oh no. There we go. Oh. Anyway, it's enough of that. Yes, we are the wolf pack. So yeah, the cultural significance of the number 7. So yeah, we'll find it in religion, like 7 days of creation and whatnot. But the cultural significance of the number 7 can be culturally significant in various societies. For instance, there are 7 colours of the rainbow. So that's always going to come. And there are 7 musical notes. And 7 ancient wonders of the world as well. And I thought about that with the musical notes, because I thought, no, there's 11 notes. There's 11 notes on the scale in an octave. But then I thought, no, actually, there aren't, are there? There are 7 notes. And the other ones, they're semitones. They're not whole tones, are they? They're in between notes, sort of thing. So, yeah. 7 musical notes. 7 wonders of the world, 7 colours in the spectrum. So we've got the cultural significance there. And in its mathematical properties, number 7 has unique mathematical properties. It's a prime number and cannot be obtained by multiplying 2 smaller natural numbers. This uniqueness could contribute to its perceived specialness because it's kind of a unique prime number. The astrological and astronomical significance, get into the meat of it, working to the universe. There are 7 classical planets in astrology. So we get the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. Okay. So we're dealing with the inner planets. We're not normally stressing too much about Uranus and Neptune, are we? Right. And Pluto, what I still call a planet. And Pluto, article, Michael Strange posted something on X earlier on today where it was saying there might be a supervolcano on Pluto. So that means chemistry, that means life, that means, yeah, take that, I'm not a planet. Captain Planet. Life all over it. Anyway, I digress. But anyway, yes, so the classical 7 celestial bodies are the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. So that gives you 7. So with the astrology and the astronomy, 7 is going to be really significant. Okay, so moving on to, so got into the space stuff, a bit more mystical. So let's look at the folklore and the traditions. So many folklore tales and traditions involve the number 7. For example, there are stories of mystical powers associated with the 7th son of a 7th son. And I think, well, I was thinking about that, and I think, well, how common is that? That would just be a rare to be the 7th son of a 7th son for 2 back-to-back generations to have 7 boys. And then the youngest one of them has kids who also make 7. So it's like, yeah, that's unlikely. I suppose it's a bit like, what if you got white skin, red hair, and green eyes? I mean, that's super rare genetics. So then there might be some mystique about it. Use that in Big Trouble in Little China, saying that was the woman that they wanted to do the magical things, like the key or whatever. So I don't. So yeah. So 7th son of a 7th son. I've been stacking the 7s, and the fractal nature of reality loves a good stacking of your magical enchantment there. But also 7, so let's get a bit more down to earth. So in the folklore, yes, say the 7th son, the 7th son. The 7's obviously if it's significant in astrology,
and astronomy, then it's definitely going to be in there in the alchemy, so it's going to be in there in the folklore and traditions and the kind of magical stuff. But it's also, we've got lucky 7 in gambling as well, famously. The association of 7 with luck is prominent in gambling. Rolling a 7 is considered lucky in many dice games as well. This association might have contributed to the general perception of the number 7 being lucky. So saying maybe that a lot of that's come from gambling. But there's nothing specific to say just in terms of gambling why 7 would be, statistically, as you roll a dice, I know you usually get a 6-sided dice, but perhaps that's why the thing is, it's like 1 up. So to roll a 7, you need at least 2 die, 6-sided die, or one that's got more sides. So I suppose, I don't know. Why is 7 significant? Because to get a 7, you need the minimum with one and the maximum with the other. Is it like that? Like a balance thing, like an alchemical thing, maybe? Maybe that's what it is with the dice. Maybe that's what it is. Because they're almost like opposites, aren't they? Like one's all 6, and then one's just 1, which is the minimum you can get, because every side's got some digits on the die. So maybe that's what it is, like the balance thing. Maybe that's why it's considered lucky in 7 for rolling 2 dice. It's interesting to think about, isn't it? Which is why we do this show. Interesting to ponder on from across the pond. Yes, 7. Lucky. You see Ben House in the chat there, in the restream chat, put the 7 and the lucky clover, the 4-leaf clover. And interestingly, I thought that same thing as well with the clover. And I put a 7-leaf clover. I got an image of a 7-leaf clover, and I embedded it in the show thumbnail poster. Got a 7-leaf clover. But I remember I've seen the clover. I think I seen was it 5 leaves? I think it was a 5-leaf clover. And I was telling the people at work, and like, oh, there's grass there. Could be lucky for us. Leave it. And the next day, some of it had gone. And I thought, bet somebody's picked it. The old 5-leaf clover, thinking it's going to be lucky for them. Should have just left it. Could have made it the workplace luckier. And that workplace actually shut down not long after that. It took up that 5-leaf clover, and they're not long moved there, so I found it. Oh well, never mind. Never mind. Should have left the clover. Okay, so let's get back to science. Let's get back to some good old-fashioned systems then. So psychological basis for the number 7, biases for the number 7. So where we've got a bias. Once a belief in the luckiness of 7 became widespread, it has likely reinforced itself through psychological mechanisms like confirmation bias, where people tend to notice remember instances where the number 7 was lucky for them, reinforcing the belief of its luckiness. And the caveat is it's important to note the perception of numbers as lucky or unlucky can be widely varied at different cultures and individuals. Might hold different numbers as lucky. In Taiwan, I know they got the number 8. They're big on the number 8 in Taiwan. But then the number 8, the way we draw it in the English, it's the infinity symbol, Solomon's knot. So that symbol in Taiwan is considered lucky. So that means that we say the number 8 for Taiwan is lucky. However, Taiwan, they speak Chinese, right? They're Chinese. It's like old China before the China that don't want to do communism. China. That's what Taiwan is, basically. It's like ancient China and stuff. So with the number 8, the numbers they're obviously using Mandarin symbols and such, aren't they? They're not using the number 8 like we use the number 8 for the number 8. So I don't know how that works with that. But it's just like the infinity symbol, which we'll get to that later, because that does come up with the number 7, the infinity symbol, come to think of it. But anyway, moving on. So there was another interesting thing about the number 7, which comes up for me, especially it's the colours. Lucky house number 5. My sister's lucky number's 5. And in numerology, Ben, number 5 is the number of freedom. It represents freedom or being cast free. Yeah, I suppose you could see it as being set aside, but yeah, it's the number of freedom. And number 5 is supposed to be embedded inside the King Wen sequence of the I Ching. And that's where I know this because Terence McKenna, the famous psychonaut and ethnobotanist, was he came up with this idea of mapping time. And it kind of comes back on itself, like a waveform that kind of reverses back on itself. And yeah, he came up with this time wave zero, and that came from the King Wen sequence of the I Ching, which has the number 5 embedded in it. Just so happens, just a little side note there, especially for you. But anyway. Anyway, moving on, yeah, the Theosophical Society. Recently I did a show about Rudolf Steiner and the Theosophical Society, and a bit of a talk about Blavatsky and Madame Blavatsky and some of the spiritual teachings and how he was thinking holistically about agriculture in some of the same way as some of the other good thinkers of the time, like Victor Schulberg. So, Theosophical Society came up, and they come up here with this because they've got writings specific to the number 7, but it's specific in terms of the colours, which is the bit I was interested in the colours of the spectrum. It probably is significant, and 7 kind of means something. And then with the Theosophical Society, there's a few writers that have written about the 7 rays, as in the 7 rays being different together. And I suppose it's like those colours they're different, but they're all together. They're all in the light spectrum, they're all in the visible spectrum, and they all are in harmony, aren't they? They can all blend together nice, no problem. Different shades of this and that, and they work together like 7 different things. They're completely different, but they work together really well. And then there was on about the lucky number 7. We say that 3 is the magic number. Yeah, and De La Soul track, or was it Public Enemy? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, the magic number. We say that 3 is the magic number, 7's the lucky number. And as it so happens, in the teachings, in the writings, looking at the number 7 with the Theosophical Society, which we'll get to in a minute, turns out that there's 7 ways. There's exactly 7 ways to pick up 3 different things. And the 3 is important because, like I say, with the religious stuff, we have like the Holy Trinity. And 3 is a bit of a significant number as well. So they've all got the meaning in numerology, but I thought it was interesting that 3 goes with 7 too. The magic number goes with the lucky 7. And it's because there's 7 ways to pick up 3 items. Okay, so and the way that works is that you can either pick them up individually. So if you've got 3 items, that's 3 ways to pick them up. Number 1, number 2, or number 3. So that's 3 ways to do it. Right. Or you can pick them up in pairs. So you can pick up 1 and 2. And then the spear. Or 2 and 3. And then the spear. Or 1 and 3. And then the spear. Or you can pick them up all together. So there's 7 different ways. 7 different ways to pick them up individually, pairs and a spear, or all together. 7 ways to pick up 3 items. So the 7 just keeps bouncing back around, like looping over and over. It seems to keep, like would a woodpecker, keep banging its head against the wall, showing its face. So totally different things. Totally different together, or together differently, was a phrase first coined by a guy called George Arundel. Arundel. I'm not sure how to say his name. It's Arundel. Or George Arundel, anyway, of the Theosophical Society, who was a former international president. You know, in fact, I've got a picture of this guy. Let's get him up on screen. So this is from the Theosophical Society, because of having a bit mention this, we've got George Arundel was president from back in the day, so I have a quick read about him because he was one of the first people talking about this idea of being things being different together. I suppose it's like championing harmony as well. But anyways, yes, so George Sidney Arundel, born on 1st December 1878. So this guy's born just a few years after the Theosophical Society is first formed. I think that was 1875, which I found out. So this guy, George Arundel, is 1878 to 1945. He was born in India, He's a theosophist and a Freemason, president of the Theosophical Society, and the bishop of a liberal Catholic school. He was a husband of a dancer. So yeah, so this guy was this Theosophical Society guy. I was talking about being differently together. He's Indian, and he was born in Surrey, but he died in India. He's got a bit of a cross-cultural thing going on and traveling and stuff. He's kind of aristocrat guy. So this was the guy that was first talking about this notion of it being different together. And then there's this lady I just want to highlight here, give her a bit of a shout out. So from theosophy.wiki, we've got a lady, I've got a profile up here of a lady called Betty Bland. Betty Bland has been a public speaker for the Theosophical Society in America, and she's been the president from 2002 to 2011. So she spent quite a number of years as the president. And it was her that I'd seen her do a bit of a talk on this being differently together, these 7 rays. This idea that it's almost like, if you can imagine, in one story they've got it where it's almost like where they're saying, well, imagine that there are 7 sailors in a boat. They're all from completely different walks of life, all different shapes and sizes, but they all got to sail that boat together for the boat to be sailing, to get where you got to get to and to stay alive, kind of thing. So they've got no choice but to kind of work differently together, sort of thing. So I thought I'd just play a quick clip before the break comes in. Just play a quick clip. I'll just mute this. Which I think we're going to be okay with the fair usage. We'll just comment on it. I'll just play this quick clip, just presenting the beginning of it with the writers. I don't know why now of all times we've got an especially long double advert here, but that's just the way it goes sometimes in a live performance. That's why you ramble on. So yes, being differently together. I just want to put this quick introduction because it's worth Betty Bland. It's worth a shout out, and she mentions the original writers that were first talking about this. So just we'll get this on screen. You can have a look for the video viewers. So get me off. You can have a listen to this.
This is a metaphor for a way to divide the color spectrum. And for example, in a rainbow, we have 7 distinct colors. But the color spectrum does not exist in specific bands of color, but rather continuums. And as we were discussing in the members class earlier, in these continuums, sometimes you divide things in different ways. But actually, there's a very systematic way of dividing the rays into 7, and I think you will see that as we go through the presentation. And the 7 rays are distinctively theosophical, but they have parallels in all the world's religions and mythologies, and so we'll bring in many of those. Christianity has the 7 archangels who stand
Yeah, the break's
before...
sneaking up on us, so I think I might just have to. Yeah, we'll continue with this after the break then, because like I say, it's just had a couple of minutes left. So I really want to get into this a little bit more. So okay, we'll give Betty Bland a little bit more. Give Betty Bland a little bit more of a shout out after the break. We'll just quickly put a little montage track on here, and we'll fade this in, and we'll just have a quick 4-minute break. Just bear with me, and we'll be back after these short messages on the Examined podcast. Talk about the lucky number 7. Just a sec.
What's the message?
Message as follows. It is dangerous to remain here. You must leave within 2 days.
What?
Do you want me to repeat the message, Dr. Floyd?
Who recorded it?
This is not a recording.
Who's sending it?
There is no identification.
I don't understand.
Neither do I.
Is this message by voice or keyboard?
I don't know.
My response is, we don't have enough fuel for an earlier departure.
The answer is, I am aware of these facts. Nevertheless, you must leave within 2 days.
Al, who the hell is sending this?
I'm sorry, Dr. Floyd. I don't know.
Well, tell whoever it is that I can't take any of this seriously unless I know who I'm talking to.
Dr. Floyd,
Yes?
the response is, I was David Bowman. Do you want me to repeat the last response?
No. Tell Kernow that this is no time for jokes.
Dr. Grinow is not sending the message. He is in access way 2.
And I'll tell whoever it is that I can't accept that identification without proof.
The response is, I understand. It is important that you believe me. Look behind you.
Hello, Dr. Floyd.
This is James Salcedo, host of Salcedo Paranormal, and I will be attending the Mid-Michigan Paracon the Saturday and Sunday after Halloween, November 4th and 5th, at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, to promote my show and the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. If you would like to meet me in person, tickets are starting to run out for this year's event, as there are expenses in making the show and attending the Paracon. If you would like to help me and my podcast, but cannot attend this year's event, you can always donate to the show through PayPal and Venmo. Those links can be found through my podcast page, salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. Help is never expected, but always appreciated. Thank you for listening and supporting Salcedo Paranormal and the Mid-Michigan Paracon.
Some people believe that crystals have spiritual properties and can be used to connect with the ancient civilization of Atlantis. They believe the crystals were once used by the Atlanteans for spiritual healing, meditation, and communication. Some people believe that the crystals can still be used for these purposes today. The Atlantis crystal power myth is the belief that crystals from Atlantis have special powers. This myth is often associated with the idea that Atlantis was a highly advanced civilization that was destroyed by a natural disaster. Some people believe that the crystals from Atlantis survived the disaster and can be used to tap into the power of Atlantis. Have you ever tried? Check out Spirit Magica Crystal Shop and use coupon code Troubled Minds, all one word, for 25% off your first purchase.
Hello and welcome back. Thanks for bearing with us at the break there, folks. Welcome back to the Exile Minds podcast with me, your incredibly famous and dashing host, Liam Martin, here to talk about the lucky number 7, the mystique surrounding it, as we've looked at some of the cultural and religious significance, some of the mathematical significance, and as one of the chatters has mentioned there, the 7-day week as well. In the calendar week it was one of the 7s that we didn't kind of cover. I don't think we covered that one. So well done on that one there, James Salcedo. And just so happens I have my Salcedo Paranormal adverts loaded up today. So it's good timing that you happen to be here, James. That was lucky, wasn't it? So yeah, I thought about it today. I thought, no, I'm going to sneak him in. I'll sneak him in into the show, into the little ad break there, because we do that for the radio. So there we are. So yeah, James Salcedo Media says 7-day calendar week, at least in some parts of the world. Not sure if that's everywhere. I think everyone seems to be using a 7-day week. There's a restream. Yes, 7-day week. That's the great point. Oh, that's me. The great point. Also, yeah, a 5-day week, which is odd. 5-day week is supposed to symbolize freedom. Exactly. Well, that's an inversion. Exactly. If it symbolizes freedom and you're in a 5-day week, it's in that another one of the upside down tricks, James. In that another one of the, you know. Freedom is slavery, James. Don't you know? You don't want to be a slave, do you? So you have to go and be a slave at work so you're not a slave. That's the logic. If you can figure that out, but just send me an email. DM me on the Discord because I don't know how that works. But anyhow, let's go back to this clip of Betty Bland, because it's just a nice quick little intro, because she makes a really fantastic point there as well, saying that when you look at the spectrum, in fact, let's get the picture up. When you look at the spectrum of a rainbow, they're not just totally separate bands, are they? They're a continuum. They're a constant continuum, like got different flavours within there. They're blended together, all nice and good. So the fair usage policy, we're just commenting on this. Is from I mean, there's lots of Theosophical Society videos posted on the web, but this particular one is from a GBH forum network. So that will be in the description there. They've got plenty of subscribers there, way more than me. And yeah, they're sharing this stuff for Theosophical Society. And the talk is the 7 Rays being different together by Betty Bland. So we'll just continue with this a bit more. Get me off the screen. And we'll carry on, see what else she's got to say about this. She's been mentioning the 7 archangels. So we'll just have to play this quick clip.
Or the throne of God. And the Jewish mysticism of the Kabbalah has the 7 Sephiroth, or numbers, in the world, plus 3 supernal ones, from which the 7 come. Hinduism has the 7 rishis, or ancient wise teachers. Tibetan Buddhism has the 7 shohans, or celestial lords of light. Zoroastrianism has the 7 Amisha Spentas, or holy immortals, who are aspects of the divine. And Shintoism has 7 gods of good luck, who are very popular figures in Chinese mythology. Wait, I won't go back to these. These 7 gods of good luck are a real favorite. They are a jolly bunch who travel together in this ship of life on a stormy sea of existence. And note that although all of them are different, they're all together, and it takes all 7 of them working together to keep the ship of life afloat and on course. And that's the way it is with the 7 rays, too. And these jolly gods all look so different to me that I wonder how they can even get the ship going. It makes me remember the idea of Chinese fire drill when we would all get out of the car and run around. So each of the 7 rays is traditionally represented by an icon, that would be a human figure, and identified with a certain activity. And each ray also corresponds to each of the 7 principles, and we were talking about the 7 principles in the members class that are within us and throughout the.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause it there and just cut in. She mentioned the 7 rays, 7 different principles, like 7 distinct flavors. So I thought that was important. That's going to be important in this, because it's like they're all doing a different job, kind of thing. You know. Anyway, carrying on.
Cosmos, and although the 7 principles use Sanskrit terms, we'll use both the Sanskrit and the English so that it's more understandable. So the first ray was originally said to be the king, but since we don't use king so much, we'll say leader. And not just a political leader, but also a person who opens the way to new things, like an explorer, an inventor, or an innovator. And it corresponds with the Atma, or the essential self, the highest self, whose function is to lead us in our evolutionary journey. And the second ray is that of the teacher, but not just the classroom teacher, but one who sets the example. and by that example teaches us how to live. Certainly it corresponds with the buddhi or intellect, and the intellect. John always liked the way words come together, and it means collecting or gathering together, and so the intuition or judgment gathers together the right ideas for the right choice. And the third ray is that of philosopher and a philanthropist, a lover of wisdom, a lover of humanity, and it typifies all the humanities concerned with values and things that are good for it, and it would correspond to mind, manas or mind. And it's the defining principle that makes us Homo sapiens, or wise humans. And the fourth or middle ray is that of the artist. And art is the mediating activity between material and spiritual. It draws the inspiration and puts something on paper or in clay or even in music that is the connecting force. And it comes, the Greek word, it affirms the beautiful order of the universe, such as cosmos relates to the same term as cosmetic, and orderliness, cosmic. And it corresponds with jiva, the vital energy of life, and the one manifestation of which is prana, and we talked about prana. The fifth ray is that of the scientist, the one who studies the material world by observation with the senses, with mathematics to form explanations of how things work, and the ray corresponds to the sthula sharira, the dense form of things, such as the physical body, and such forms are of objects of scientific study. The sixth ray is that of the devotee, the religious person, but it's not just the religious person, but it's people who are dedicated to any particular principle or ideal, such as military people, for instance. I didn't do it. There you go. Sometimes that thumb has to push, doesn't it? So it corresponds to desire or passion. Anyone who follows something with a passion, and also hierarchical functioning, following with a passion. And then the last one is the seventh ray, and that is the ritualist. And it's not just religious ritual. Well, I clicked it too many times, didn't I? All right, I must have. Let's go back here. All right.
All right. Indeed, all right. So we've got the 7 rays here. I'll get myself back on screen. So we've got the 7 rays then. And this is what I was getting at with where they seem to have practical functions in themselves individually in each one. So each ray of light is not just different colours. It's like they're all doing a specific job. And that works with colour therapy as well, doesn't it? So I was thinking this 7 different layers of the light thing seems to have something to it. So those individual 7s then can be thought of the 7 sailors as the leader, a teacher, a philosopher, an artist, a scientist, a devotee, and a ritualist. And they're 7 kind of important aspects then of a person. And then they've got all these, like I say, they've got these principles attached to them: the self, the leader, the self, teacher is the intellect, the philosopher is the mind, artist is vitality, expression, the scientist, that was the difficult to say thing, the tulsa shantra, the body, basically. The devotee is the desire, desire to be close to God or whatever. And then the ritualist is in the form. They're doing the ritual exactly the same certain way, exactly making sure the form is correct in this, what I'm saying, in the correct timing and cadence. So even the shape of the sound is correct. That's how it works. Like with some really good actors, you can kind of hear it in the cadence, the way they deliver a line, and they don't leave too much of a gap. They don't make it too short, too snappy, and some things require a little bit longer than others, different emotions. And some people like Michael Caine is one of them that kind of like, if you listen to Michael Caine whenever he's acting, I mean, he's recently said he's not going to be acting anymore, he's in the 80s, but he delivers really classically really well. He delivers a line. If you just listen to Michael Caine, the cadence and the spacing, the form is always exactly the same every time he's delivering a line. The rain in Spain is mainly on the plane. There'll always be this same flow, same rhythm. That's what it is you can tell the guys. Tell the guys classically trained, you can tell. Anyway, so yes, so different. Okay, so there's different. I'm saying. That's what I was going with this. Look, it's lucky number 7. It's probably lucky because a lot of structural things kind of involved with it in space and I say it, but in space and time and mathematics. I mean, this is why it keeps coming up. And so I got thinking. Get back to my script. So because we've got this about the 7 rays, and there's a thing with it, with the 7 and light, with the Theosophical Society. The original writer was T. Stubbs Rowe. Then Helen Blavatsky wrote about it. Then C.W. Leadbeater, who was one of the main people for Theosophical Society, and then Ernest Wood, who wrote the classical book on the 7 rays. So it's been a thing by 4 of the really main writers, and then she's obviously was president for many years. So they're really kind of drilling this home with this 7 rays thing, and I think it matters with the colours and structure of reality. And so then it reminded me of Randolph Winters. Randolph Winters did some. He spent some time with Billy Meyer, and he collected all the Billy Meyer contact notes together and made a series of tapes, and you can listen to them on YouTube.
The energy that's in.
Let's get one up here. They've been in various places on the internet, but yeah, this one I found. If you want to listen to the Billy Meyer tapes or watch it on YouTube, there was a channel called Gas Meter that I found that's got Billy Meyer tapes, just labelled Billy Meyer tape 1, tape 2, tape 3, that sort of thing. You know, like tape 10 is creating a universe and development of man. And I thought this one was particularly interesting, the creating a universe and development of man, because it talks about the layers of creation getting formed. In fact, I'll just read from it. We're running out of time and some of these presenters are a bit slow. So, yeah, so Randolph Winters in Billy Meyer contact notes. In tape number 10, creating a universe and development of man. It's like, what is a universe and what is a creation? Two different things. And it said that there are many universes, and they come in, a universe has got 7 layers. That's why I bring this up, because he's saying it's worth listening to, definitely worth having a listen to, but it was saying that as far as the Pleiadians know, who've, you know, been able to get around the universe and have a look and study things, and from information from people who are much more developed than them, the basic idea is that there are many universes, and our universe is made out of 7 layers, and it sits within a much larger universe called an absolutum, and that they've estimated that there are 10 to the 49th power of universes in this large absolutum universe. Okay, so we're in a kind of multiverse. All right, and the way that an absolutum, the way it creates a universe, is that the absolutum, when it creates a new universe, it has an idea to do it, and the idea is called the creation. And it's the idea that it's embodied into itself with the knowledge and understanding of all the universes that have come before. It's a living life form, so it's trying to evolve. So all universes are trying to evolve, then they're a living life form. So it gets like a spark of an idea. This is the creation. This creation is just made out of pure energy, like fine matter state. It's very tiny, but because it's an idea that's come from the absolutum, it's come from the multiverse, it benefits from all of the knowledge of making universes that come before it. So it's got all of the tapped into all the knowledge of all the multiverse there's all the other universes ever been. So when a new universe get created, it should be pretty damn good at it. So it's already a very powerful as an energy source. And this energy inside the creation is supposed to be moving in a really exotic spiral. And in fact, I managed to dig up a picture of it, of what this crazy exotic spiral is supposed to look like. I found it on Pinterest. I'll just share that for the camera there. There we go. Yeah, get that on Pinterest. Links in the description if you want to see it. I'll get me off the screen. Yeah, so they're saying that what happens is the way a universe is created, it's made in 7 layers, and it starts off as like a tiny little egg-shaped thing. It starts off as an idea that moves in this complicated spiral. So it's like it's moving in a spiral like upwards, and then when it gets to the top, it will swing out really wide and start covering the kind of shaft that it's made, and then it will spin itself back up into the bottom again, and then creating another spiral like a helix, like a human DNA helix. So you've got this like double helix that's spiraling out the top and then back into the bottom. So it's like feeding itself, just like with Taoism. So with Taoism, there's this idea there's a vortex above you, there's a vortex below you. So one's coming up into your body in your perineum, and one's coming in the top of your head, and that's why you do that hand motion of kind of putting your hands together in Tai Chi and stuff. Where you like make like a little ball, and because like a central vortex, the center of your body, probably where your solar plexus is, kind of thing, or your gut or something. But yeah, so there's that central crazy spiral that it's moving in, and that is a thing with Buckminster Fuller as well. We've got the vector equilibrium. Buckminster Fuller, famous mathematician. Okay, and I bring this up because that vector equilibrium, this shape, which is the most stable shape that there is in terms of, it's the most stable shape there is. You can't knock it off its axis from any direction. Okay, this vector equilibrium shape, and the vortex is kind of happening inside of this. It's kind of hard to describe without sort of seeing it, but it's one of those strange polygon shapes, but all of the sides are an even distance. So in all directions, it's kind of, anyway, and the reason that's significant is because this kind of vortex, for the video viewers, I've got a bit of an animation of this vortex going on. So it's basically, it's like saying it's like kind of feeding itself, and it's made out of you find it embedded in the flower life pattern as well. So it's like this number 7 thing. It gets really elaborate because it relates to sacred geometry. It relates to mathematical principles. Come up with some of the best thinkers that there are, and then we've got the torus. It kind of makes it's like a donut shape. If you imagine a really stubby fat donut, it makes a kind of donut shape, almost like a mushroom cloud that then gets so far down it comes back underneath itself. And that's like the kind of form that space takes in 7 layers. So if you think of it as 7 different layers of light, I suppose that's kind of the principle was sort of talking about. And this came in with a guy called, there's got really bad audio on this video, but there's a guy called Marco Rodin that I recommend people check out in terms of this, because he was doing this vortex mathematics and made this coil. He made this coil with really tight angles based on this vortex mathematics, and it's based on some religious principles because he's with the Baha'i faith. And it's a bit of a story, but this is fascinating because I think this is kind of the mathematics that is this stuff with the number 7. I think it's to do with layers of creation, how creation's made, and how the light works, and how they've all got different jobs. And this vortex mathematics shows you kind of like, it makes it multidimensional. And I personally think that this mathematics and this lucky number 7 is a hint to some, kind of high physics knowledge. So I'm just going to play this quick little clip while he just explains. We've only got a couple of minutes left. I haven't really got time, but I'm going to just give him a couple of minutes. Marco Rodin, because I want to champion him, because this guy was pretty tireless in trying to explain all this stuff. So let's give it a go.
You knew about the XYZ axes. You never knew about the W axis. What I'm explaining I made a claim in my flyer for this talk.
That's not my audio. We didn't get this sorted out. I think it's on the video.
Before I'm done here, I will obsolete the binary code, but not yet. So this right here is horizontal. Horizontal. Something has to cause things to diskette. They even say, though you probably haven't heard this, that our universe is a flat sheet. They even say that our solar system is a saucer, it's a spiral. Something is causing this lining up. But what is so significant, even it's taken me my whole life to appreciate that this being a right angle to this is so profound, okay? And another thing I'm just telling you, but don't worry about it, is this doesn't stay X. The X then becomes here, the Y becomes here, the Z goes there. Everything is much more complicated than what you're seeing right here. I'm just giving you a freeze frame of time right now.
Just a freeze frame. That's the time. Time's against us. Time's against. They're running out of time on the show. Yes, it's just a freeze frame of some mathematics, really complicated to get into. I'm going to have to do a show on Marco Rodin of Vortex Mathematics and tie in with the lucky number 7, I think that's what we're going to have to do. But yeah, check this out. Links will be in the description as usual. So yeah, definitely go and check this stuff out. It's the Vortex Mathematics video. I recommend watching the one where he's got a white vest on, Marco Rodin, because it's hours long. I had to watch it. I had to watch it 7 times, funnily enough. It's a 3-hour Vortex Mathematics lecture. He's wearing a white vest. And I had to watch it 7 times, I remember. It was really... But it's kind of simple. But you have to kind of undo stuff in your head. But... so I sound like I'm rambling like a crazy person. But yeah, that was the thing. I think then, so to summarise, I think this lucky number 7, I think the reason it keeps coming up personally is because there is some mathematical significance to it beyond what we've already noted. And beyond the religious and sort of cultural. Because we looked at our number 7's got the unique mathematical property in that it's a prime number and it can't be obtained by multiplying 2 smaller numbers. And so there might be some mystique about it. So... But I think because there's 7 layers of light, 7 colours in this visible spectrum, and that's so prominent, and our cells seem to all talk to each other with sound and light. It seems I think there's bigger fish to fry with this, personally. So that's all I'm trying to get across. So I encourage you to have a look into this, and definitely look into the vortex. It sounds mathematics, but no, because he's teaching it simple. He was saying that kids can understand that stuff better than adults because it's too simple, sort of thing. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But anyway, that's enough from me. I'm going to get some ad break music on, and we'll wrap the show up. Yeah, let's put one of James' promo ads on, and then put a bit of music on and wind it down. So anyway, well, thanks very much for joining us. Thanks very much to the chatters for joining us. We've got Eriko. Again, sorry about yesterday. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, James. In fact, James, shout out. Salcedo Paranormal. It's going to Mid-Michigan Paracon representing us. So, yeah, let's give him a quick shout out and a little promo track. And I'll catch you next time on Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP. Digital Broadcasting.
This is James Salcedo, host of Salcedo Paranormal, and I will be attending the Mid-Michigan Paracon the Saturday and Sunday after Halloween, November 4th and 5th, at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, to promote my show and the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. If you would like to meet me in person, tickets are starting to run out for this year's event, as there are expenses in making the show and attending the Paracon. If you would like to help me and my podcast, but cannot attend this year's